Well, greetings and welcome from all over the world. My name is Lynn Hawkins. I'm the CEO of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship and the co-CEO of PositiveImpactMakers.org. I am here today to help you to dream it and fund it. Fund that dream, whether it's your passion, your purpose, your nonprofit. I'm going to give you a few tips on the 5 things that make crowdfunding work. One of the biggest arguments that I've had around crowdfunding is that I did it, it didn't work, it doesn't work. Not true, okay? And I'm going to show you why. So put on your seatbelt, get your pen and paper ready. We are going to jump right into all of this great information. If you got the workbook, you saw these 5 simple tips. As we're going through it, it's set up so that you can take notes right in the workbook. So if you've had an opportunity to print it out, feel free to take your notes. You're going to want to. And what are you going to find out? Well, first of all, who am I and why is this so important for me to bring this information to you? Well, one reason in particular, and that is that I am adamant about people learning how to crowdfund and crowdfund successfully. So my background is in commercial real estate lending. I've spent 30 plus years in the commercial real estate field. 30 of it was in commercial real estate lending and finance, building teams, building divisions, organizational development, all of that good stuff. If you want to know more information about me at the end of the workbook, there's a whole lot of great information, including the fact that I'm now, happily part of a mother-daughter team helping to raise my grandson. My daughter is single with no kids. My grandson is the first son of my son who recently passed away. So she and I came together to raise my grandson. He's about to be 14 years old. He's taller than me and just an amazing kid. And if you know anything about how life happens, there may be times where you've had a friend, a relative who's needed something. You've been in business and you've needed a piece of equipment, or you wanted to take this amazing training, or something came up where your thought was, if I could just drop 5 or 10 or 15 or $50,000 to do this or more, how could I do it? Well, I want you to know that crowdfunding is a viable option. There are, however, some reasons why crowdfunding works and reasons why it doesn't. And I'm going to help you discover the one thing that you need for your campaign to be complete. I'm going to show you the number one thing that 80% of crowdfunders miss when they're writing their campaign. And I'm going to show you the reasons why only 79% of all crowdfunding campaigns fail, and how you can take advantage of the knowledge that you're going to get here tonight and successfully create a crowdfunding campaign that will meet or surpass your goal. I'm going to help you to learn the 7 most important elements that every campaign should have to be compelling, to pull on a reader's heartstrings. Because most of the time, crowdfunding campaigns are read. Now that we've got the ability to add video and pictures, it makes it a lot more interactive. However, there's some key elements that if they are not included, or if they're included in a way that does not serve your purpose, you're setting yourself up to reap less than what you probably deserve. And so I'm going to tell you also about how technology and a social network come together to provide a platform that has zero fees for you to fundraise. It has continuous weekly payouts during your campaign. So can you imagine you've got a $100,000 campaign, $10,000 comes in week 1, $50,000 in week 2. Wouldn't it be nice to pull those funds out? Most platforms make you wait till the end of the campaign, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that too, but this is going to really give you some meat around how you can easily reach your goal. You'll also get a free copy of my Crowdfunding Success Formula worksheet outlining the 5 things that we're going to recap with and really hone in on and make sure you understand, because these are the things that make crowdfunding work. And when you get a chance, at the end, you're going to be able to ask some questions. We'll have a Q&A period. So you ready to jump in? Hands, or if you want to ping into the chat, we're going to allow you to do that too. Linda is going to be monitoring that for me. And I will be asking for the show of hands or a ping in chat or something to let me know that you're still out there and awake, because I know it's late. And we are going to wrap up. We're going to keep this pretty powerful, but we are going to wrap up in our allotted time frame. So work with me here. Question number 1, what are some of the reasons why crowdfunding works and why it doesn't? Well, the biggest of all of the reasons is, and you're probably going to be surprised about this, but we'll be talking about this one thing throughout this entire webinar. And that one thing is story. Sometimes the story is just one story. It's not a complete story. We all know that stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end, but there's some other elements to a story that relates to your crowdfunding campaign that you really want to be knowledgeable of in order to craft the story and the stories throughout your campaign message that will make the difference for you. And then number 2, what is the one thing that you must have for your campaign to be complete, compelling, and that leads to success? Well, it's another S word, not FS, another S word, and it's one of my favorite words, actually. It's strategy. You want to have a compelling strategy, a strategy that starts from the beginning, that takes into account everything in between the beginning and the end. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that strategy as well, because there's a formula that I use for strategy that I'm going to share with you as well. And then what is the number one thing that all crowdfunders miss, or 80% of all crowdfunders miss? And this is probably not something that you necessarily think of right off the bat too, but it's team. I can honestly tell you that the difference between a successful campaign and a very successful campaign is the strategy in how you engage your team. And you always want to have a team. You want to have a designated few or a designated more than a few that have committed to helping you to spread the word. Because if you know about crowdfunding, it's about the crowd. You don't have all of the crowd, but your crowd has a crowd, their crowd has a crowd. And if you know how to engage your team so that your team can engage their team and their team can engage their team, that's a winning strategy. And I'm going to tell you one way to easily make that engagement occur, and that's by creating a challenge within your crowdfunding campaign that will make it fun, it will give it momentum, and it will really help to keep the engagement going out from team to team to team, but it starts with your team. And I'll give you an example of what that actually looks like. How many of you remember hearing about the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge? It happened last summer, but you heard about it last summer. It was happening before that, but the way that it happened last summer, was it last summer or the summer before, is because of the challenge that was happening, and people were asked to challenge their next challenger, and it went on and on and on. That's how you create viral campaigns. And so you want to think about and brainstorm what some of those things can be to engage your team. And this is the number one thing that 80% of crowdfunders miss. Oh, I can do this on my own, or the team that I'm engaging is 2 people when, I probably could engage 12 people to help. And there are ways to do that as well. So question number 4. Oh, I like this one. What are the 3 biggest reasons why all crowdfunding, 79% of all crowdfunding campaigns fail? And how can you take advantage of this knowledge that I'm getting ready to share with you? Actually, this is really great. You've got some of that knowledge already, because the 3 biggest reasons why 79% of all crowdfunding campaigns fail. Number 1, story. You have not mastered how to use story, how to create story, and how to have the story be part of the compelling thing about your campaign that gets shared. The biggest story about the ALS challenge was that, how did I feel after that bucket of ice water got poured over my head? What did I look like? Because now I'm on video. And I have to tell you, I met a gentleman who told me about a friend of his who's a photographer. And this photographer liked to go surfing. And so he would go surfing to some of these exotic places and take these beautiful pictures that basically no one else was able to capture, because they weren't going to those same spaces with the kind of equipment that he was taking. And he was able to sell those photographs in order to fund his future trips, right? Well, now, through crowdfunding, not only can he do more of that kind of travel, but he has committed that some of the funds that he's raising, he's going to donate to some of the villages and the communities in some of these exotic yet rural places that he's going to be visiting. And so it took it to another level for him. Before, when he was capturing scenery and he was capturing the water, the sky, now he's capturing more of the local environments as well, helping those people to see themselves from another perspective, and helping the outside world to see some of the things that he sees, that he wants to contribute to help make the world a better place. And I can't tell you, that is the story that gets missed when we start talking about the story in our crowdfunding campaign. So that's one of the stories. What do you think another story might be? Well, I'll give you a hint. It has to do with you. Your story is an integral part of your crowdfunding campaign, because you really want to tell the story about who you are, why you're doing this, who you're doing it for, how will they benefit. All of those elements within your story are very compelling. And then part of the why is the story about, like, for this surfer, not only is he absolutely able to go to more exotic places and take some of these photographs, but he's able to do more for some of the local people that he comes in contact with. And Oh, this is a good one. If you've ever wondered, do I have everything in my campaign that my campaign needs, or am I missing something? Well, this question, what are the 7 most important elements of your campaign that your campaign should have to be complete, compelling, and lead to your greater success? And there are 7 elements, and make sure you've got your pen and paper out here because this is really key stuff. So the first thing is your campaign name. I remember seeing a campaign, Bob and Susie's Wedding. And it was like, okay, Bob and Susie, I don't know you. You didn't tell me much about you. And the name is just, you just want money for your wedding. Or actually, it was for their honeymoon. And, if you think about it on the flip side, they could have said something like, Bob and Sue's memories in an exotic getaway for their honeymoon. Help a young couple create their dreams. Wow. I think I might like that. And then, from the name, from the title, and think about it, even as a business, even if it's a business thing, I need a huge piece of equipment. I remember working with a gentleman to get he owned a construction company, and he wanted this huge piece of equipment that helped to move stuff, like a bobcat. And he was like, I can't figure out how to do it. So we came up with not just a story for him, because he was able to morph that into, help me buy this piece of equipment and create 3 jobs. And that's exactly what he did. And the more compelling piece was the creating 3 jobs. Just with the purchase of 1 piece of equipment, you could create 3 jobs and employ 3 people, give them a set of skills. And even if they didn't stay with you, they now were more employable because they had a new set of skills. And there's all kinds of ways that the name of your campaign are going to either help you or hurt you. And I want you to know that the name is really important, because it should be something that is disruptive and disrupting the thought patterns that creates something compelling that you want to read more. In marketing, they say that the headline is something that grabs your attention. Why? So that you can read the subheadline. And the value of the subheadline is to create enough interest for you to read more. And it's the same thing with your name. The number 2 thing is story. And I talked a little bit about story, but I cannot emphasize enough how you want to craft story throughout your entire campaign. And number 3, strategy. Strategy is the foundation of your campaign, and, not just the high-level strategy. I'm starting here, it's named this, I'm going to run it for this long. When I finish, I'll just collect everything. I'm going to have this many perks. That's part of it, but that's the overarching. So make sure you also, in that strategy, talk about your team. What you want your team to do, how soon will you begin bringing in the team to get them engaged in at least preparing to help you. The strategy is the foundation of your entire campaign, and it includes 3 pieces, well, actually 4. The creating of the strategy, the creating of the strategy that is the pre-launch strategy, because you want to do a pre-launch for your campaign. So what is a pre-launch? Well, once you get your strategy complete, that includes the pre-launch, it includes the launch, and it includes the final piece at the end, which I'll talk about in a moment. But once your strategy is complete for the entire campaign, then you want to focus on a particular strategy for your pre-launch. Who are you going to contact? When are you going to contact them? How are you going to follow up? Who's going to contact them? All of these things come into play because what it allows you to do in the pre-launch is set up the momentum for your launch. When you actually launch your campaign, the work that you've done in the pre-launch period actually occurs immediately after the launch, so that much of your funds, a lot of your funds could actually come in the first 1 or 2 weeks of your campaign. And there are statistics that actually prove that when you raise at least 35% of your campaign goal in the first week, you will have a successful campaign. Because of the work that you've done in the pre-launch, getting commitments to fund, letting people know that you're going to launch, when you're going to launch, how you're going to launch, you are more likely to get those funds coming in the first week. And that's what the pre-launch is designed for. That's your strategy, taking you through the launch. And then your strategy also must include the very last piece, which typically after the campaign is over, people think that they're done. Well, there's one more piece after that. It's called, I call it fulfillment. And that fulfillment piece includes if there are any rewards, perks that you need to make sure get out to people who have donated to your campaign, do that, complete that. But there's one other thing. There is a collective thank you that you want to do to wrap up your campaign. And with that thank you, you want to let people know if you reached your goal. Because if you didn't, people might say, wow, they didn't reach their goal. I really like what they were doing. Let me contribute now. And I have seen a lot of funds come in for campaigns after the campaign just by that one action occurring. Okay, so number 4, setting up your goals. Okay, how much money are you attempting to raise? Who is your team? Your goal should be to get a team of, 3, 8, 12 people. Set that goal and figure out who it is that you're going to be contacting. And it may take you 10 contacts to come up with 5 good team players. That is something that is really part of the strategy, yet it is reflected in your goals. If your goal is to have 10 team members, keep going until you get 10 team members. If your goal is $50,000 or $500,000 or $5,000, be clear about what that money is going to go for. Have a budget set up. Know that when you get your first $500, if there's something that, because it's a part of your budget, you can do with those funds, you want to be prepared because you've got a budget. You know what these funds will go towards. And then number 5, your rewards or perks. There are a couple of things around this. First of all, what are the rewards? They should be relevant to why it is that you're raising money. One of my dear friends, Lynn Sanders, she's the CEO of Difference Makers Media, wrote a children's book called Dancing with Tex. Tex was a crane, and Tex's species was about to be put on the endangered list. They were actually close to extinction. And this gentleman, George, was a scientist and in that field, and he and Tex became friends. And it was because of the way that their friendship was that George learned how to communicate through dance with Tex, that Tex was able to get, however they get impregnated and have lay eggs and stuff, and Tex was able to do that to help the species along. And now, several years later, the species is still delicate, but it's a lot better off than it was, because several cranes had little baby cranes. But it's that kind of thing that you want to think about when you're doing your rewards. So she said, I'm going to give paper origami cranes for rewards, for perks. So there was one level of paper, and then as the contributions got up farther, there were more of the origami cranes, and maybe a copy of the book, a signed copy of the book, a number of things as she was fundraising to cover her publishing costs. And so you want to make sure that your rewards are relevant to what it is that you're fundraising for. And then, you know, consider the cost. If somebody's contributing to your campaign, they're halfway around the world, and they're making a nominal contribution, it's going to cost you a little bit to mail something to them. Make sure that you consider those costs. A lot of what we do now is easier because we can do it digitally. We can send things digitally, and most of the perks that are set up are digital products, but a lot are not. So just consider the cost. And the next thing, number 6, is pictures and video. The visual component to your crowdfunding campaign is a key element in this day and age to how successful you are. A lot of campaigns years ago when we first started in this space, even very much before we had the capability to add video and even add pictures. I remember those days. Campaigns were very wordy. And then you got to add pictures to them, so you at least got to break up all the copy, right? And now, a lot of campaigns still have the copy because there are people that really like to read. There are people who are visual, so seeing the pictures helps. But the real added value is in the videos. Now, somebody the other day said, well, what about the videos? How long should it be? What should it contain? And there are a lot of answers to that. But here's the framework. Your videos probably in the 1 to 2 minute time frame. Yes, you could have more than one. What should my video contain? Stories. Right? The story of why you're doing what you're doing. The story of who's going to benefit from what you've done. If you've done something like this before, or if your program or product has helped someone already, the story of their testimony, 1 to 2 minutes. Because a lot of times people are watching these videos on what? Yeah, their device, their phone. And they're in between something, either just before they get in the car, just before they get out the car, as they're walking down the street, or, you know, sipping a cup of coffee. So they don't have a lot of time to watch a full-length 60-minute video like this webinar that we're doing. But in your crowdfunding campaign, you can have, and I'll say on average is 3 to 5 videos, no more than that, because the last ones probably won't get watched. Your first ones probably will. So you want to temper that and offset it with your pictures. And then what number are we on? Number 7. And this is a good one. Follow up is number 7. Capture the names of your contributors. Recognize them with, at the very least, a thank you. As it relates to businesses who are doing crowdfunding, it's really easy to put a page up on your website and say, talk about your crowdfunding campaign and add to the list daily as to who contributed with a big, big thank you. There are a lot of campaigns that have no rewards, no perks. And I want to say the ALS Challenge is a good example. Susan B. Komen, and a lot of the larger organizations do not have rewards. And it's cost effective for them not to have rewards. But it's also something that it depends on who you are and what you're doing as to the relevancy of the rewards that you give. So when you consider your perks and your rewards, consider the follow-up that's going to be necessary, because once you get the information, who contributed and how much that goes with that reward, you're going to want to set up some kind of automated system in order to respond to them and to continue the communication, because once they've contributed, they're saying, oh, I like you. Stay in touch over time. Maybe the next time, the next year that you run another campaign, these are the people that you want to go to first. They contributed previously, they will likely contribute again. So before I go further, let me just open things up to questions. Do we have any questions? I know there was some activity in the chat that I did not get to see. So let's see.
I think they've all been answered.
Well, good. I like that. Are there any questions now before I go on a look any further? Well, that's good too. It tells me I'm being just a bit thorough, huh? So now comes the question about technology. And here I want you to learn about how technology and a social network come together to provide a platform that affords you with, as I mentioned before, 0 fees when you fundraise, when you're raising your funds, weekly payouts during the campaign instead of just at the end. And there are some other really great dynamics. And with that, I am going to change my screen share and show you some other information. And it starts here. So Linda and I have an amazing partnership that we call our business. Our co-branded business is positiveimpactmakers.org. And what we're about is really making a difference intentionally in the areas of mind, body, soul, and business. And Positive Impact Makers are people like you who are coming together with a cause in mind or an opportunity in mind. And we're going to show you how you can get both. I'm going to go over here to crowdfunding and show you here a way that you can raise funds for your special cause. And crowdfunding is really a dynamic opportunity, even the way most platforms are set up, where you put your campaign up, you have this period from beginning to end, you crowdfund, reaching out to your networks, whatever you raise at the end of the campaign, you can actually get less the fees. And when crowdfunding first started, there was this rule that if you did not raise your goal, you could not get any of the funds. Things have changed, things have evolved, and most platforms now are set up such that you can, in fact, get the funds. However, a lot are set up where if you don't raise your goal, you pay a higher fee, which is kind of out there for me. I'm still not sure how they justify that. However, there is an alternative. There is a crowdfunding platform that affords you the ability to crowdfund Uber style. I don't know if you can see that, but it truly is the future of crowdfunding. And I'm the host of a web TV show called the Biz Info Zone Show. And it's for the savvy social entrepreneur, actually helping them to express their purpose, plan their next moves, and implement with ease and power, and actually bring profits into their business because of it, and take their lives into the realms of prosperity. And I know that sounds really, really lofty, but I have to tell you that I have interviewed some amazing people, including just recently Rob Tolles. And his interview will be up as part of the BizInfo Zone library very shortly. But truly, Smash Fund, the crowdfunding platform that I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about, is a place where you can dare to dream it and you can fund it. And I want to share with you how. Let me get to my page here. There we go. Smash Fund, the future of crowdfunding. Whether you've got a cause, a nonprofit you support, a financial need, whether it's personal or business, a family member, friend, or associate that you need and or want to help. If you've got a project, oh my gosh, the Mendocino Film Company in California, the gentleman that owns it is a friend of mine, John, and he's doing a series of documentaries. And he's like, Lynn, crowdfunding can help me? Yes, John, they can. And so we're working with John to get his funding for his films. And he's got probably, I don't know how many in the wings, because funding has been his issue. If you've got a book, a course, anything actually that you need funds to do or complete, crowdfunding is a viable means. And now with Smash Fund, it's even more viable. So Lynn and I have launched a group in Facebook, and we are publishing information on a periodic basis about what Smash Fund is, how you can get into crowdfund or get in the social network. And crowdfund is not network marketing, but it is a social network. If you remember what was shown at the top of this screen, you know now that Smash Fund is the first social crowdfunding network. Now, what does that mean, Lynn? Well, I'm going to show you. This is actually my dashboard, and I am so stoked. 204 connections is not a lot, but I want to tell you, that's about $1,000 right there. It's over $1,000 in income right there. And I'm going to show you what that looks like very quickly. With 7 personal connections, that's 7 people that I personally invited to come into Smash Fund and either crowdfund or be a part of this social network, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment, and 198 viral connections. I'm just stoked. And I'll tell you, remember these numbers, because when I show you this piece, it's hopefully going to really give you a greater view about what Smash Fund is, because there's 2 ways that you can play in Smash Fund. One is all about crowdfunding. You can do crowdfunding day and night, and that's all you do. Another way is as part of the social network, because as a part of Smash Fund, you are a part of the social network. As a part of the social network, Smash Fund has set up, this is new. Smash Fund has set up a revenue share opportunity. So here's what it looks like. For your crowdfunding campaign, there are no time limits or goal requirements, right? So I highly recommend that people crowdfund for a period of not more than 30 days, because there's a lot of energy that you want to put into your crowdfunding campaign to keep the momentum high. That is what keeps the money flowing into your campaign. But with Smash Fund, you don't have to leave the platform once your campaign is complete. You take the time to set up a new campaign if that's what you choose to do. And this is the only crowdfunding platform that shares up to 80% of company revenues with its users. So if you are part of the network, helping to build the network with your direct referrals, and you call the viral referrals, you can get paid for those. So hold that thought. I'm going to come back to the revenue share information, but about the crowdfunding, there are no percentages taken from your contributions. There's only a third-party merchant fee. You can change out your campaigns and projects freely, or you can keep them in place. I just like for people to keep them fresh, keep them moving, have a date that you want to close it off, and have a date after that. Take a break. Figure out your next campaign and then get started again, because this can really be an income opportunity for you. So your crowdfunding funds come in, they're dispersed and deposited into your account weekly. There's no increased fees for not achieving your goal. Remember I said all the platforms that I've worked on, if you don't raise your goal, you get your money in the end, but it's less a greater percentage fee. And there's no annual commitments or deadlines. And this works for nonprofits as well. So if you know any nonprofits who have ever been in a place of having a need for dollars to come into their nonprofit, I'm going to show you a way that you can help them to have that happen and have it happen on a consistent basis. One of the things that crowdfunding does not allow for, and that is an opportunity for continued consistent income into your funding need. And this is where it gets really nice, because the revenue share allows for that. For every direct connection, remember I showed you I have 7 right now, $50 every month for those 7 direct connections. $50 times 7 is $350. Okay, that's okay. But what was that? 200 viral connections, $4 every month for 200 viral connections. That's $800. So 800 and 350. That's pretty nice. And that's every single month. And just think, when my numbers increase, if you're in here and you have those kinds of numbers, when your numbers increase over time, so will your income from revenue share. And that's the piece that no other crowdfunding platform has out in the marketplace. And I'll tell you a quick story about the CEO of Smash Fund, because he's an investor, and he started with a gaming company to build the software with the algorithm that actually makes all of this work. And he actually we have a proven model in the gaming company where he built this, in that they were able to go from 0 to over 4 million people in the network within 2 years. And of those 4 million people, those who benefited the most were the tightest in the center. And if you think of a beehive and the queen bee is in the center of the beehive, the queen bee would be you. And all that's being built around you by all the other bees is actually engulfing you in the middle of a larger network. We call that a social graph. And I'm just using the beehive analogy. But the tighter you are into the middle of that social graph, the more viral connections, the more of those $4 connections you make. And if the company will allow you to have up to 16,000 connections, let me just tell you some of the numbers. If you have 100 direct connections at $50 per connection, that's $5,000. And with 100 direct connections, you probably got 1,000, 1,500 viral connections at least. 1,500 viral connections times $4 is $6,000. So you could potentially have $10,000, $11,000 a month with those numbers. And 100 direct connections sounds like a lot, maybe. Doesn't sound like a lot. If I only have 7, but in 2 years, could I have 1,000? Not 100, but 1,000? I'm going to be working on it. And for one reason alone, because this allows for crowdfunding to happen in a different way. And I'll tell you, there's 3 kinds of people who are actually part of Smash Fund. One, I just want to crowdfund. Give me the opportunity to crowdfund for this nominal subscription, monthly subscription amount, and I can pay that. I'll get my crowdfunding campaign out there, raise my dollars, and I can do what I need to do, personal or business. The other type of person is somebody like me, somebody like who wants to do crowdfunding, teach crowdfunding, help others to do crowdfunding, as well as have this other income opportunity through the revenue share. And then I have to tell you, there's a third type of person, and that's the type of person who recognizes that being close to the center of this social graph means that there's revenue from the other side, from the revenue share. And, you know, I heard a gentleman say, I'm a business owner. I've been in business for 30-something years. My business is doing well. My family is set. I don't really need the income. But what's really nice for me, I know a lot of people who could benefit from this, either crowdfunding and or being a part of the revenue share. And with that, I want to be part of the revenue share. The revenue that I get, I will either contribute all or a portion to help fund others who are in the network. And I can't think of a better place to be, but to know that there are people in this network who want to see what you're crowdfunding for and to contribute because they're getting this income in order to do so. And let's see what else is here. Oh, this is sort of what the social graph looks like. And it's a proprietary algorithm that actually works things. So the bigger people are pretty much your direct connections sprinkled out throughout the entire graph. And then there's the viral connections that you can see in there. And that probably looks like me, 7. And viral connections. But we recognize that we are moving into, or actually have moved into, what's coined a share economy. And that share economy is the kind of economy where companies like Smash Fund are allowing not only the benefit of a thing. I mean, think of Uber. Uber's allowing their drivers to participate in their revenue share because that's a model, that's a disruptive model, very similar to Smash Fund. The Uber drivers participate in the revenue share because they're promoting the app. They're driving the people. Their service is what keeps people coming back to Uber. They're telling people to tell their friends to use Uber. There are people in cities that have sold their cars and only use Uber because of the efficiency and efficiencies that it provides for them. Well, that's what we are seeing, that the Smash Fund platform and Smash Fund as a company are providing for us. And with that, it provides you with an opportunity to not only crowdfund, but to crowdfund the right way. And I want to help you to do that by inviting you to take a look at and participate in the Crowdfunding Success Blueprint Bootcamp. And what is this bootcamp? Well, it's the combination of, and it's the expansion of everything that I've shared with you today. And while we're going to get into this, let me just go back here 1 second. There we go. And complete over here, because I think I've shared with you a piece of technology that's combined with a social network component, not multi-level marketing. There's no tiered aspects to it. There are only connections, your direct connections and the connections from those direct connections, and the advantages of being a part of that shared revenue model to reach your goal. And here's where we talk about the 5 things that make crowdfunding work, because that's what the boot camp is all about. It's helping you to make sure that you craft a crowdfunding campaign that works, that people look to, contribute to, and will share so that others can contribute to it as well. It's a space where, you know, story plus strategy plus system equals success. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the system. It's your story and the story throughout your campaign that you're going to craft in here, and it's your strategy that you build in order to ensure that your campaign is successful. But the first thing you want to make sure that you have is a compelling story. Crafting your compelling story, noting that, you know, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and who's going to benefit. How will it help those people? Not necessarily what, you know, the details of what it is that you're going to do, but how will they benefit? How will you know they benefited? What will the outcome be that you're looking to have? You know, it's like the gentleman who bought that piece of equipment. The outcome was he was going to have 3 skilled employees that were trained on this new piece of equipment. 3 jobs created, and even if those 3 gentlemen or 3, well, they were gentlemen because this was a piece of heavy equipment, even if one of those or all of those 3 gentlemen went to other places for employment, they were skilled. They could add that to their resume. The gentleman with the equipment could bring 3 new people on and train them on the equipment, and he kept his ability to garner funds in for this job training to pay their salaries or to help offset the payment of their salaries. I have a client that I'm working with, Josie James. She's 89 years old. She's a life coach, and she's teaching about the Thrive Age. And I said, Josie, if there was something that you needed for your business, what would it be? Of course, she said, 2 or 3 of you, Lynn. And I thought, oh, that was so sweet. But she was serious. And I said, okay, well, let's think about that. How can we get you 2 or 3 of me? And it turned out that helping her to get a virtual assistant would allow her to just be in her gifts, to share her gifts, to be a life coach. She wants to speak to groups of women and men who are of retirement age, either before or into retirement, those who are taking care of elderly parents, and just give them the wisdom of her 89 years, where she, up until a few months ago, was caregiver for her 94-year-old husband, who is still alive. So, you know, there are so many ways that a crowdfunding campaign can help you. And the biggest thing you want to do is make sure that your stories are compelling and strong and that draw. And if you don't know, create the campaign and test it out before you actually launch. While you're in your pre-launch period, test it out on the people that you're contacting in your pre-launch and say, you know, and if you have any feedback for me, I'd appreciate it. But even more than that, when we launch, if you would commit to a contribution, that would be amazing. So that's number 1. Number 2, get firmly into your mindset mastery space. There are so many of us who, you know, embark on something like this, and throughout the entire process, we're questioning whether or not we can do this, especially if you've done something like this before and it hasn't worked. You end up telling yourself, what makes me think that it'll work this time? And don't let your story or anyone else's story to stop you, to keep you from your dreams. Keep your goal in mind, and you'll move through challenges that will show up. You'll be able to, if you decide to be a part of the boot camp, you'll be able to tap into the resources that are available within the boot camp in order to remain encouraged and inspired to continue the journey. And number 3, create your campaign strategy and goals, and let your goals be the fuel that lights your fire daily. You know, you've heard the story of the carrot and the rabbit chasing the carrot to win the race. Well, not so much chasing the carrot as it is having the dream to do good for yourself or for others, and letting that dream be the fuel that helps you to stay encouraged and enlightened and motivated to continue your path. And then your team, make sure that your team shares that vision. Your job as a leader is to influence your team to the vision that you've set. And as you're doing that, you want to keep in mind that the process includes utilizing or creating the systems that you've put in place. And you want to understand and solidly put in place these 4 systems. The foundation, which is your strategy for the entire process. Do that first. And then your fundraising strategy. That's the pre-launch and the launch and the follow-up strategies. And then your fulfillment strategy. Remember I said, even though your campaign is ended, it doesn't mean that you're done. So without these things in place, you will miss a huge opportunity for success. And then number 5, plan your pre-launch and your launch, and engage your team in the planning or before you do the work, so that you can bring them in and share everything with them. Again, so they buy into the values and the vision that you've set and will help you, have committed to helping you. Or hire somebody to help you. You know, when you see crowdfunding campaigns that are successful, that have, you know, 150% of their goal raised or 300% of their goal raised, I'll tell you this. They engaged a team, whether they paid them or they were volunteer, they engaged a team and the team did their job. And when you press the go button, if you've got these things set in place, you will have a powerful campaign that marches on to your goal. And this is something that I've always taught to nonprofits as they're doing their fundraising and sponsorship gathering. And it's a sound system. It works. And I want the opportunity to help you to create the campaign that is successful, that not only works, but works with ease. And how do you do that? I'm going to go back over here and show you how you can do that. It is about increasing your impact, and you can do that through the 5-part Crowdfunding Success Blueprint Bootcamp. In your workbook, there is a link to this page where you can see all of this great information. But I want you to know that in 5 sessions that start next week, that wrap up just as the platform is coming live, so you can have every piece of your campaign put together. So when everything opens up, all you have to do is transfer your information in there and you're ready to go. And guess what the advantage is to that? You're one of the first campaigns that is seen when these people start getting their money flowing through. And whether they take what they need and they're looking to contribute, they're going to see your crowdfunding campaign on this platform. And I want you to not only have your campaign there, but have a campaign that's compelling and that will be successful for you. And each of the 5 sessions is outlined in session 1, creating an epic campaign. Your message is the foundation of the campaign. Your story, the stories that you use throughout the campaign. Are you going to have sponsors? What about the rewards? This is the strategy that I was talking about. We actually go through that so that you can outline your strategy in session 1. In session 2, we go through the 4 F's, because it's one thing to outline your strategy, then you need to go through it and tweak it and hone it so that you know that by the time you finish with session 2, you have got a campaign strategy that works. You've got a vision that's set, that you see the path to. You actually...
Can I interrupt for a second? We're not seeing it.
Uh-oh. Thank you.
Yeah. We're still on the Crowdfunding Success Blueprint Bootcamp front page, and I thought it would be better if everybody could see as you're speaking
Absolutely.
about the different sessions.
All right, let me see. I've got to... Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Great. And all of this beautiful real estate up here that I was talking about. I've been scrolling down. Talked about the 5 sessions, session 1, session 2, the 4 F's of crowdfunding. And now I want to talk about session 3, the pre-launch. Pre-launch mastery is something, mastery is a learned skill. How do you figure out what to do during the pre-launch, but to create the strategy and stick to the strategy? And there's part of the systems that I have in place to not only teach you, but help make it easier for you to move through this pre-launch stage, because that's where the money is. Remember I said 35% of all campaigns that have their pre-launch set and work it actually see that 35% of their goal in the first week. And they're the ones that go on to that 150% of goal, 300% of goal and beyond. There have been some campaigns that have been amazing. One gentleman had a $65,000 campaign because of the work that he did in the pre-launch, and his network kept spreading the word out. By the time he was finished, he had over 1,000% contributions into his campaign. And who's to say you could do the same thing? Because the pieces of it that you need are here. Session 4, we go through your launch strategy. There's a momentum cycle that I teach about and help to make sure that you understand and you've got it applied to your strategy. And then session 5 I teach the 12 practices of accelerated business development, and there's a way to apply those 12 practices to your campaign as a test, right? QA test, quality assurance test, before you press the button, in order to make sure that you have everything that you need, that there's clarity, that there's the right color and flavor around everything that you've put together, so that you can get the most out of it. And understand that completion is not the end. You see this word here? Celebration. At the very end of your campaign, you've got to do that, whether you've reached your goal or not, which is one of the reasons why I say, you know, the extended campaign kind of peters out, and you don't want to celebrate because you feel like the momentum has dwindled. Whereas when you have that 30-day time frame, you can go for 30 days. A friend of mine recently finished a marathon. She hit her 30th birthday, did her 30th marathon on her 30th birthday, did 30 marathons in a row for 30 days. So if she could do that, you think you could run for 30 days with a crowdfunding campaign? And then what would have been absolutely beautiful is if she had done a crowdfunding campaign to fund her journey for that 30 days. Not only could she have not had to come out of pocket necessarily for her costs, or maybe she would have, but any funds that she raised, she could have raised for a worthy cause. And so those are kind of things that I want you to understand you have the ability to do as well. So what's this program, Lynn? Well, there's 3 ways that you can participate. There's the do-it-yourself, which is really great. It really sets up everything. The framework's there. The systems are there. I teach it to you. You do it. We come back the next week. You have a Facebook group that you can go in and ask me any questions. Linda and I are both in there. You can get those questions answered, or you can do it with help. And that affords you an additional coaching session every week. So you've got the training class and an additional coaching session in order to make sure that, you know, you're thinking right and you're moving through developing this stuff correctly. And then there's the Done For You program. And the Done For You program is not 100% done for you, but it is done in the sense of I actually hold your hand throughout the entire process, and you get an additional 30 minutes per week throughout the campaign in order to make sure that you're on track and you have everything that you need for your campaign to be complete and successful. And all right, you're asking the question, what does it cost? Nominal cost. You can get into the do-it-yourself for $197. You can get in the Done With You with the additional coaching sessions for $497, or you can get into the Done For You sessions at $997. And then there's a 2-pay for each. If you qualify for PayPal credit, you don't have to pay anything for 6 months, because PayPal will pay me and you paid them either over the 6-month period or nothing until the 6 months, and then maybe you can pay them all at once. And here's the beauty of this. If you qualify for PayPal credit, you can crowdfund to get that cost for training, or help to build the network, garner the additional income that in that 6 months you could have that and then some to pay that off. And on this page, you'll also find the training schedule. Training begins weekly starting on Monday. The open live forums, the group coaching is on Fridays. And the additional for the Done For You, the additional training times are scheduled directly with me. And then I cannot forget this, all of the bonuses. If you enroll in the Done With You or the Done For You program, you get reduced costs on all of my programs for life. We have a workbook for the Blueprint Bootcamp. This is my latest book, Enjoying Imperfection, Why Being Imperfect Makes Perfect Sense Because I'm Human. And why not have fun? So, and then Linda has graciously added her new book to the mix, Change Your Money Mindset, Change Your Life, 5 Keys to Change with Ease. I love that. And here's a real big bonus, though. Everybody really has to understand what this bonus is all about, the Power Surge pitch. Have you ever thought about pitching to a group to solicit donations for your crowdfunding campaign or anything? You know that it's something that might make you sweat a little bit. Well, this is a pitch training so that you can create, practice, align, and embody the pitch for your cause. So you can be ready for the crowdfunding audience that can support your cause before, during, and after your campaign. And the beauty of this is that you could, so let me back up. There's going to be in October a crowdfunding convention. And at the convention, Smash Fund is going to have its presence. But even more than that, the woman who puts on the convention every year is the woman who was instrumental in the legislation that got approved as part of the Obama's Jobs Act for crowdfunding to come into existence. So there's some really deep roots at this convention. And what's nice is that there are investors who are going to be there. And if you have a crowdfunding campaign, you want to raise millions of dollars, I'm actually working with a couple of individuals who have projects and companies, and they're interested in raising millions of dollars. And I am preparing them specifically through the early activity in Smash Fund to pitch at the convention. And if that's something that you might be interested in doing, this is going to help you from every level as far as pitching for your crowdfunding campaign. But if you're interested in pitching at the October convention, this will help you to get ready for that as well. And that's about it. There's a little bit about me. And again, I am the CEO of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, where we do business acceleration from heart to finish. And that kind of wraps things up for us. Any questions that I might be able to answer? No questions? Linda, nothing in the chat?
Nothing in the chat, but I just thought of something. When we were going over Smash Fund and the breakdown of the revenue share, is there anywhere where we said the cost, the subscription fee every month?
No, I don't think we did actually say. I know I said that there is a monthly subscription cost. It is a nominal fee, and it is $149 a month subscription fee. And the beauty of that is, and they designed it this way, there were some smart people here, that if you actually bring in 3 direct referrals, $50 per referral, you've covered your cost and made $1. So anything above that, you actually earn as direct income. Now, one of the things that Linda and I are doing as well is making sure that people understand to think a little bigger than just 3. And we're teaching 10. How can I bring 10 people in within the first week of my being a part of Smash Fund? Because that's when you're really going to see the momentum. It's about sharing it with them. It's about talking crowdfunding. It's about talking crowdfunding in a different way, because this is a disruptive model of crowdfunding. This is not the norm. And when you talk about crowdfunding, oh, I didn't have success. One of my friends, I paid a PhD, big dollars, raised zero. This is different. And I want you to understand how.
Yeah, I kind of want to add just one little thing because we're looking at my book here. It's kind of about a mindset change. And those changes take some time sometimes. So we still have another like 3 weeks before we do our big launch with Smash Fund. And up until that point, we actually don't pay anything. So our cards have not been charged. We will have plenty of notification of when they will be charged. But, you know, we've got this time to kind of get our heads wrapped around the fact that what Smash Fund is doing is disrupting the entire industry of crowdfunding. And I'm really excited about it. The algorithm that's being used that Rob Tolles, the founder of Smash Fund, he developed it and used it in another setting. And I know we heard that they at one point had 2.5 million users a day for that. And I know right now there's actually, I think it's probably just finished, they had a live call with his, Rob's right-hand person, Lauren, was speaking tonight. Lauren shared his experience in that last business, and he's quite the networker, but he brought in, I want to say 650 people into that last venture, but for that, he was making kind of obscene money. I want to say I heard $145,000 a month. So, you know, that being said, I mean, are we all going to be able to, you know, work at that level? Well, there will be some. I mean, I'm motivated by that. You know, I'll be happy if my little pod fills to 16,000, because if you multiply that out by 4, that's $64,000 a month. And, you know, having been a nurse for years, I have to say $64,000 a month was a little more than I made. Anyway, I see it as such a great opportunity for us to get cash flow going back to people so that then they can turn around and think about what causes, what ventures, what needs they can support. So it's sort of, for me, it's just all rolled into one, and it's very exciting. And Lynn, you've done so much work here. I want to encourage everyone to consider the boot camp, because I think that in that everyone that wants to truly do a crowdfund will be able to have that ready and roll it out right away, right as Smash Fund launches. So great job, Lynn. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love the value of the information you just shared. It's very much key information. Now is the time. We still have 3 weeks or more before any charges will be made. That's more than ample time to get 3 people, to refer 3 people into the network. That will be your 3 directs that cover your monthly costs. But, you know, 7, 10, and we're here to support you in building your network, in creating successful crowdfunding campaigns, and really helping you to do more by speaking more, sharing more about crowdfunding, about Smash Fund, about the value that it's brought to some of the people that you will be hearing about, because those stories will be getting told.
That's great.
Okay.
No questions, I don't think. No questions. So, gosh, thank everyone for participating. And thank you so much, Lynn. Great tonight again. And just like to leave everybody with a thought that I have is, do well by doing good.
And an easy way to do that is by keeping an open heart, because open hearts, And when you speak to people about Smash Fund or the opportunities that you see in front of you, to do it from the heart allows others to feel that energy and want to be a part of what you're doing. So thank you, Linda. Thank you for being an ace wing woman. I
Glad to be here.
appreciate everybody for coming. We will see you soon. Please do. If you're part of our Smash Fund Facebook group, please put comments in there about what value you got from being here in the webinar. And it's turned out to be a great recording. I'm excited about posting it, so look out for the recording as well.
Great.
Thank you, everyone. Bye for